Blunt's Point was actually an interesting historical site that my son and his close friends introduced me to. One day they had learnt about Blunt's Point at school and wanted to go for a hike up the hill to Blunt's Point. So one afternoon in the weekend, we actually went for a hike up and checked out the guns up there. Quite amazing sight. These things are huge.
It's actually Matautu Ridge. I think the Palangis call it Blunt's Point, because it's kind of blunted on top. But the Samoan name for the place is Matautu Ridge.
Okay, we're at the Blunt's Point Naval Guns. It's a World War II site. It's on Matautu Ridge, and the Samoan name of the point is Tulu Tulu Point, and it's in American Samoa. It's just above the Pago Pago Harbor. The guns were placed here in order to protect Pago Harbor from invasion during World War II.
At that time, Pago Harbor was quite a strategic point, a point of refueling and stores for the soldiers that were in the area, protecting the Pacific Islands from the Japanese.
American Samoa was the biggest storage depot. This is why this harbor was so valuable, because it was from here that they moved everything out to the rest of the Pacific, you know?
What we learned was that the guns were originally from World War I, where they were on battleships.
And they were brought to American Samoa just before Pearl Harbor, and they were installed here. These guns are unique in the sense that they were two of four sets of guns in American Samoa during World War II. They were the largest defensive guns on the island.
I mean, at that point, we found out that they had these massive 6-inch shells that they would fire out of them out to sea at any potential threats from the Japanese Navy.
They could project shells that were approximately 6 inches in diameter with a range of just over 9 miles.
The guns were brought here by the Marines, and they were installed by the Marines and contractors as well as Samoans.
They put them on this sled type thing, like a cable car on a sled, and pulled them up the mountain.
The way they were brought up was on a skidway, because there was no road up here at the time. And so there was a skidway that was actually, they didn't have steel rails at the time, so they used a Samoan hardwood called ifilele.
It's quite impressive when you look back at actually how they did it, a combination of American military and Samoan brute force got those things up the hill and got them positioned and got them in place to protect Pago Pago Harbor.
With a diesel engine that pulled them up using cable. And one of the interesting things is recently the American Samoa Historic Preservation Office has had a survey done, and we've located the approximate location of where that skidway was. We found the concrete anchors that held the steel cables, and we've even found one of the round pulleys that was left behind after the war. The guns were never used in anger. There was only one attack on American Samoa, and it was a submarine that surfaced on the other side of the island and shot shells over the island into Pago Harbor.
And when the Americans conquered the Japanese, they found all the papers, and they what they found out that was after Guadalcanal to Solomon Islands, they were
either that the guns were here, or it was likely that there were large guns defending the harbor, and so he attacked from the other side of the island.
There was some potential threats in the area from the Japanese, and the Japanese did fire upon Pago Pago Harbor. but they seem to, I don't know if it was instinct or some type of information or knowledge that they had received, that Pango Pango had two of these large weapons in place.
I don't recall too much, but I remember some of the important events. When we were bombed, we were shelled from this side, from over there. I think, I'm trying to think of the boat. I think it was a submarine, Japanese submarine. We got shelled, and most of the shells fell right in out there.
So the Japanese were lobbing shells from Whangasa into Whangatongo, and the only thing they hit was Shimasaki's store, the only Japanese living in American Samoa at the time.
Historic places and update the National Register nomination. The guns are currently being maintained by the National Park Service, so they have a crew that comes up here and cuts the grass and maintains the trail to the second gun. They're also help with vandalism issues. There is a small amount of vandalism going on. The upper gun got spray painted. The upper gun is also flooded, and I've been in contact with the National Park Superintendent, and they have some pumps, and there's plans in the works to pump out the lower gun and clean out the drains and see if that can be maintained.
In the year 2000, during the centennial for the territory, a Boy Scout did his Eagle Scout project, and he cleaned up the lower gun and cleaned out the gun emplacement and painted the gun. He also put up a monument to hold the plaque that indicates that Blunt's Point is a National Historic Landmark.
I was working for Governor Lutali when we went up there and it was filled with water and dead frogs, and so the Navy came down, Seabees, and they cleaned it out.
And during the centennial, the Navy sent a brigade of, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but he sent the Seabees, or a construction battalion, to do some volunteer work during the centennial, because American Samoa for 51 years was under naval administration control. And from the United States, who helped defend these islands.
And sort of almost feeling that aura around the guns that existed back in World War II, and just imagining how, you know, soldiers would have been stationed there and looking out the harbour mouth, and just waiting for any potential threat that could come along.
So what the people that manned this gun faced were guns that could shoot shells that were 18 inches in diameter, and their range was about 25 miles.
The gunners here couldn't respond because their range was only 9 miles.
So they would have to wait out that shell, and these guns could start firing. To man these guns took a tremendous amount of courage for those veterans.
The significance of a historical site like that is huge. You know, we have to preserve it in the sense that from generation to generation, you must understand where the next generation came from for the existing generation to move forward and learn from other generations' mistakes, potentially.
Well, you know, it's part of our history. It's part of our history.
I think a lot of our younger generation don't appreciate what has happened in the past. You know, things like a world war are quite inconceivable in today's society, where you have wars in different areas, but it's not the whole world at war.
And the guns, as you know, are listed
In history, we hope that people will visit the site and enjoy the site, contemplate the legacy and the history that American Samoa and the United States have had together, and help to protect and preserve the site for future generations.